Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter, and welcome to Anime Watch Club, presented to you by What Do You Say Anime. Watch Club is a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the show's cast nominates and votes on shows that we are interested in watching. Are you interested in voting or persuading the host to watch a certain show or movie? Well, join the Discord and join the Anime Watch Club channel in our Discord, and you can nominate and vote for shows that we watch. Now that we got out of the way, let's meet the host. First up is the leading chat points leader in Pokemon stream. We have Johnny. Johnny, how's it going?
First of all, how did you find my alternate account? And second, I'm not a subscriber. I am officially affiliated with Pokemon, so let's not get here. I have all access to her DMs. You don't want to be exposed here. I can do stuff that you couldn't imagine. So let's just forget this ever happened and let's move on.
All right, Sim Slayer, my bad. Next up, he lists Dungeon Master and his prior management experience on his resume. We have Kat. Kat, how's it going?
I am doing well, and I'm gonna need everybody in here to roll for initiative. Pat, you got a nat 1. Great. Let's. That's all I got.
All right. I rolled a 69. Next up, we have our first moderator of the night. You may have seen him wearing a Sonic costume at your local Northeast Furry Convention. We have Miles. Miles, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm more of like a Tails kind of guy.
Yeah, you are.
That's so not
Yeah, you are. And yeah, Pat. We have Pat.
Nay. How we doing, everybody? It's all right. You know what?
For those on our audio platforms,
it's time to stop horsing around.
Pat was wearing a horse head.
Yes, I was. Very fitting in this show called OddTaxi, because obviously that's very. How obvious is that a horse head would be related to that? But yeah, no. So we for this week we watched. It did Watch Club. We watched OddTaxi, a show from I believe it was the spring season of 2021. So very recent, probably the most recent show we've done, like from its debut to the Watch Club episode that we've ever done. I think. Pretty sure. But yeah. So yeah, let's do what we normally do. Let's start off with our first impressions of the show. So spoiler free, where we heard about it, what we thought, maybe if this was our first or second watch through, whatever. And we'll start with Miles. Miles, how about what have you got for us?
Sure. I was super excited to do a mystery. I love mysteries. So Pete told me I would like it, and Pete usually doesn't lie to me. So, I was excited going in. I made sure I was like my number one goal was to try to guess the culprit of whatever crime may be committed, and I did, because I'm fucking great. So it was a great show, regardless of how good the show was, because I got to be right. And that's the most important thing.
You got to be right and humble at the same time.
Yes. The number one most humblest.
You rock. All right. Kat, well, of course, would you recommend watching the show as well?
Oh, yeah. Also, the show's good. Watch it.
Yes. Okay, there we go. I almost forgot. I was so mystified by your humbleness. It just really humbled me myself. So, not that I need humbling. Kat, what do you think? What were your initial thoughts?
So when I first started watching the show, because it's the first time I'm watching this. This is the first time I watched it anyway. I didn't really know what to expect, and I was expecting to have to trudge through this show like for the last week and like have to watch the last few episodes on the day of, but lo and behold, I watched like 7 episodes on blast, and like I kind of guessed the murderer at the 7th episode, and I was like really proud of myself. A lot like Pat, only a lot less humble.
Miles.
That's Miles, but they're white.
Shout out to Haz.
Shout out Haz, yeah, for our it's still continuing and running joke that we are the same person, even though we're not.
One's curly, one's straight. I mean,
what?
One's curly and one's straight.
I was like,
Who?
why are you calling me Curly? Like, Miles is the one getting married in like a month. Like, shit. Like, it's like, oh, so I'm Curly now? Like, okay, but whatever. This is going on too long. Would you recommend the show?
Yes, I would recommend the show.
100% recommend. Awesome. After the first few episodes, great. All right, Johnny. What about you? What have you got?
All right, so I'm just gonna get the furry jokes out of the way. No, this show didn't make me a furry.
Okay.
You know,
Great joke.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm just getting it out of the way. You know, great comedy. But I enjoyed the show a lot more than I thought I would. I don't usually like mysteries because I think they're kind of dumb. No offense to Miles, but I just don't like them.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can't be offended. I don't care. But anyways, the show. So like the show, what like I expected it to be like just all mystery, but there was actually like a lot of other stuff. Like there were side stories, there were interesting characters. There's like a lot more than just a mystery. So I thought that was really good. And like the show, like I'm gonna talk about like some of the good stuff about the show later on. But there were a lot of stuff about the show that was really good, but I didn't expect from this kind of show. So that was what's the word? Pleasantly surprised. Yeah, that's the word I'd say. So yeah, I would definitely recommend watching this. I think it's one of the better shows I've seen this year for sure.
Awesome. So sparkling reviews across the board so far. Pete, I assume it'll stay the same way since I believe you were the one who nominated it.
Yes, and I just want to mention that Miles might be the most humblest, but my apple crumble is by far the most crumblest. Just gotta point that out. Yeah, this is my second time watching it. I watched it when it originally aired last season. I thoroughly enjoyed it. My only issue is I thought it started off a little slow, but I mean, that's kind of like how most mysteries are to begin with. That's like really my only complaint about the show. I thoroughly enjoyed trying to figure out the mysteries, even though the first time I watched it, I was off by a mile because, spoiler alert, I'm dumb. And the second time watching it through, I was like, it's so obvious who it is if you use your brain. So I had a blast watching it the second time as well. I would absolutely recommend it. And this is like I actually, if you really like the show, go back and watch it the second time. There's some things that you might miss that are really fun to like pick up and adds to the story. So I had a really good time watching it. I'd highly recommend it.
Nice. All right. And I'll echo the same points. I would absolutely recommend watching this show. I had a blast watching it as well. I thought in the first few episodes I was sitting there and I was like, oh yeah, I'm figuring things out. Like I can see the mystery, see through it, whatever. And then I realized that I was not even on the right mystery yet at that point in the show. You know, like there was more to it. It was a lot of fun. For me, the biggest hit of this show was the conversations the characters have, the comedy, in particular the main character Otakawa. The walrus. He does his banter with people is great. It's it's not exactly similar, but I'd say it's like similar to like his conversations with almost everyone are very similar to like when Mai and Sakata are talking in Bunny Girl, where they're always trying to like one up each other, or they're trying to, you know, they're talking directly to each other, but like indirectly at the same time. I feel like, you know, like I feel like that happened a lot in the show. I don't know if people felt the same way as I did about that, but that's how I interpreted their conversations. And of course I love that because that's one of my favorite things about Bunny Girl Senpai as well. So I would absolutely recommend the show. I didn't love the twist at the end, but it made it worth it. I think it was a clever interpretation. I think so. But we can get into that. So now going forward, if you have not seen OddTaxi, please beware. These are we are going to be spoiling the show because the show is, as we've said, it is a mystery. It's very, very important that you go in completely nude, completely naked into this story in terms of your outside knowledge about what happens. So please pause us and come back to us if you plan on watching it. But if not, you have been warned. All right. So does anyone have a specific talking point that they'd like to start out with?
Could I branch off what you kind of just said, Pat? Because it's probably my favorite thing in the show other than the mystery is the dialogue.
Absolutely.
And how they just interact with each other it's so well done and different compared to how they do it in other animes. And I was like, for like an example, a lot of animes where the expression of person 2 is going to be what or nani, it's always like no, Nani? It's always like a pause, and then especially with like Otakawa, something would be said to him, and then like 0.1 seconds later, he'd be like, "What?" Like, because that's how like people would react. Like, if I was like, "Hey, you over there," you'd probably be like, "Oh, what?" There'd be like no downtime, which anime does, and then this is like really spot on conversations like people would have in real life, and it's not really seen that often in anime. I feel like the dialogue a lot of times in anime is slow. It's there so you can read the subtitles. Nobody's like going insanely fast unless it's like Aragi from Monogatari going on some like giant tangent. I felt like this was just a great flow of conversation. I was always interested in what people were saying. I was like, this is the type of show where I really like never like looked at my phone while I was watching. Like if I was watching an episode, I had its full attention because I was so intrigued by the dialogue. And I was wondering if anybody else kind of felt the way. I know Pat did, but this was like a huge selling point for me.
Yeah, Johnny, what about you?
Yeah, so that was one of the things that I was really surprised about going to the show, because like as I said, like I really like the dialogue, but I also like love the voice acting in the show. It is so good, and it's like it's not because it's like, and it's like what Pete said. It doesn't sound like anime. It sounds like actual people talking to each other, which I think is like something more shows can do. Because like obviously, like I'm not gonna lie, there are probably sometimes where like that stuff is entertaining, but there's also times where like you just want something like this, where it's like it sounds realistic. It sounds like actual people having conversations, and especially in a show like this, which is like supposed to. I think it fits the mood of the show perfectly with the way how characters talk, with like how like trying to think of the right word to describe their dialogue. It's like what's like the word for complicated, but like
I just felt like it was natural.
Intriguing.
Yeah, I felt like it was just like a natural dialogue between real people. It's kind of like how I felt.
Exactly.
It was so free flowing.
It felt so real, and I felt like that's such a strong point for the show, because it made like the characters coming to conclusions and realizing something was off, and then slowly figuring out stuff just so much more interesting.
That's interesting because I feel like it was layered. Their conversations were often layered, which makes it, if anything, most human conversations don't go that way. But like we'd like to imagine that they do, or maybe that the way we perceive conversations might be that way. I don't know, but I do agree though that these conversations were fun. That again, like I said already, they reminded me of other anime that I've been like, wow, the dialogue is entertaining. It's funny. The characters are smart. They're not just they don't feel like they're just reading lines. They're actually like just having a conversation between the two voice actors, let's say, right? And that's super important for an anime that, I mean, most of it took place inside of a taxi, right? Or in a very confined space, or a very limited space where it was primarily talking. It was primarily just characters poking each other, talking, telling stories, whatever. And that's what I really liked about it. Kat?
So one of the things that I wanted to point out was that with the dialogue, like you guys were saying, a lot of times and I'm not sure if this is the same in animation in Japan, but for the most part, most animation in America, you were taught to speak a little bit slower and enunciate a little bit louder so that people can really understand what you're saying through without having that visual cue. And with this show, it seems like they are being able to speak naturally without having to, well, with along with that like extra enunciation and all that, but it seems natural. And I think like that is like really good for all of the voice actors that have started in this, because like this is, I think that is actually a really hard point to drive across, because like most of the time, unless you are normally used to enunciating, uh, you will you will almost always your the words that you are saying will not be heard by the audience. So I think I really think that the voice actors were like really helped carry the show, and the dialogue too. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree that I think what really sets like the voice acting apart for me is that not everyone like every character not only has like a unique voice, but like unique diction and like a unique vocabulary they use. Like, I think the most obvious in your face example is Yano, who's the porcupine, who just like raps all the time, which I like really enjoyed. And then at the end, when he's freaking out, he stopped, and his buddy's like, "Dude, you have to keep doing your thing," and he's like, "I do not. This is awful."
Yeah.
um, but everyone speaks in a way that kind of tells you like a little bit about them. Like, are they gruff and blunt? Are they, more easygoing or more hyper or everything? And that's like real people are like that, right? Like, the differences between how, Kat and like Pat speak are obvious. And I think that nuance is hard to direct and hard to do well in as like a voice actor. And so I think that the voice actors obviously all did phenomenal jobs, and the director did a fantastic job of imagining these different characters and like to the level of detail where how they speak is so cleverly and are so specifically defined. It helps make this cast of characters pop, kind of, like stand on their own.
Yeah, I'm not sure who like the casting director is for this, but like the fact that they went out and got a rapper named Meteor for Yano is like a really nice touch. It's not, hey, let's go pay X dollars for B tier voice actor. Like, let's go search out somebody for this role. And I think it tells. And then you can see the range on some of these voice actors. Johnny mentioned it before we started that the voice actor for Otakawa is Tanjiro. And it's like, you could have given me 100 guesses and I would have not guessed it was him.
I literally was like so surprised looking at the list of the characters he did, because he also did the main character from Digimon, and this is gonna be nice for Miles. He voice acted as Sig in Fate Apocrypha.
Oh wow! Actually, so fun fact: the show's a 0.
Yeah, anything associated with Fate Apocrypha is a 0. No, it's just like really cool testament. It's fun seeing like the director. This is his first ever director like role for an anime, and he knocked it out of the park. So it's like, are we seeing like an up and coming like superstar director for somebody who did this so well?
Has he directed other TV shows before, or is it like...
Oh, just according to Mal, he only has the director and character design is him, and those are his only 2 roles listed. So I don't know if that's true. We always just use Mal as our resource, but if that's the case, like this dude like killed it for his first ever director role. Like this was great.
Because what I'm imagining is that maybe the reason why the show like feels so different from other anime is that maybe he was originally like a live action director, and then maybe like this is his first time doing an anime.
Yeah, so I guess I'd have to Google
that. Might be a possibility, because like Mal probably only does anime directors.
Yeah, like Tim Burton does like live action and like animated. So maybe he's a Tim Burton-esque director or something. Who knows?
This guy was also Ken in Tokyo Ghoul, or Kaneki in Tokyo Ghoul. Like, it's wild. This guy has a wide range of characters that he could play.
Yeah, much respect. This dude killed it.
He absolutely killed it. Got some of the names that are also in the directory. He's a very well hired one, if that makes sense. Like, he's definitely been around the block, it seems like. So good on them for shelling out the big bucks, most likely, and getting someone who just, like, I don't know, when he was talking and it was a walrus talking, it completely fit. Like, it didn't stand out at all. It was just like, yeah, that's what I would picture a walrus guy to sound like, or that's how I would picture. I think the guy being the skunk, the what do you call it, the idol fanatic, whatever his name is. Imai or Shun, whatever. Him being a skunk, I think that has to be a reference to the Looney Tunes, right, or whatever it's called, with the
Pepe Le Pew.
With Pepe Le Pew,
I don't think that's because Pepe Le Pew is like a rapist. This dude was just like a simp. Like there's a big difference.
Yeah, okay, but like back in the
Oh, God.
50s,
Back in the 50s,
right,
he was
that
a
was a
simp.
simp.
Yeah.
Okay, Pepe Le Pew like
That's
legit
true.
drugged the female skunks and like sexually assaulted them.
Yeah,
And
no,
back
Totally.
then, everyone's like, "That's
Yeah.
so funny." This dude's just a simp. Like,
That's totally what I meant with my comparison. I apologize for thinking that.
there's just a difference between like somebody who sexually assaults.
but Pepe Le Pew
What are we
doesn't do that
talking about
in
here
like
again?
when it's written now is the point.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
this is a modern or like a PC Pepe Le Pew.
I
Pepe Le
just
Pew.
thought that out of all of the animals, to make the person who simps over a specific woman, to make that person the skunk, is a mighty coincidence if it wasn't an intentional reference to the
Yeah.
most famous simp in
I gotcha.
cartoon history.
I gotcha.
That's all.
There was
I'm
a
sorry,
period
I
of
did not
time
mean to get
thought he
political.
was the murderer.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could have seen that. Yeah, for sure, because he's so fanatical. Like, what
So,
is he willing to do?
My thought was to just talk about this, like I guess really quickly. Spoiler alert, by the way. I know we've already given it, but the idle cat was the murderer. So,
What?
what? So I was like,
No, she wasn't. Yeah,
Um,
The other idol cat.
Society was the murderer.
Yeah.
The real
um,
murderer was the friends we made along the way.
yeah, the real murderer was the
Wow.
friends we made along the way. But like, so I had it between like him and her because they were like the only two people with motive. And they were the only two people I could see reasonably knowing that she would be at that location. Well, it would depend because I think the Yuki's was like she went there to like talk to the manager and then saw the opportunity and like said like YOLO'd it basically. Where Ima or whatever could have like heard like like maybe because he talks to Rui every once in a while and she could have like talked to him or been worried about not being the center anymore and because he's like obsessed with her in like I guess a wholesome way because he didn't murder anyone, he could have decided to ensure she got to stay the center or something, but I don't know, he seemed like too wholesome to be a murderer, so
Can we also talk about like because I think one of the biggest things about mystery shows in general is like who else we thought could be the murderers. So like I think it would be good to kind of give everybody's thought processes that they had while they were watching the show, so like we could all go through that and kind of talk about who we thought was the murderer throughout the show.
Yeah, so my very first guess for the murderer came in episode 1. And my guess, like my very first guess with not enough information at all, obviously, was Miho, who's the nurse. Because you see Dabu talking to someone and like it's just like one, like I don't know, quarter, 1/5 of her like face, but it was her. And so I was like, well, it's not Dabu because the first person that they say is probably the killer is like
Is never
it's
the
just
killer,
not going to
right?
be the killer.
Yeah.
So I was like, but the sweet little nurse, like the show didn't want to give away that she was talking to him yet, but like it gave a little hint, so like maybe it's her. So she was my first guess. My second guess was the dingo, who like their manager guy.
Oh, Yamamoto.
Yeah, and then obviously once we find out that Otakawa drives Yuki to the place, then that's who I was on. But I don't know, like who did you have, Kat? What was your thought process?
So my first thought, at first, my first like culprit was actually going to be Shiho, because she was another one of the idols, and I was thinking about like maybe she had something to do with it, because the Black Cat, she had to be like I thought that she just was trying to blend into the background, and she obviously had something going on. And obviously, my first thought was, "Hey, maybe it's her." And this is probably the second episode. But like when the dude saw when the IG, the monkey dude, when he saw the when he saw Shiho on like fucking Tinder, I was just like, yeah, she's probably the murderer. But then I was going through it, and I think my second culprit for the murder was probably going to be actually Dobu, because I don't know, like at that point it's probably like the fourth episode, and I thought Dobu was like just dangerous and just unhinged enough, like they would actually pull the obvious card, and I don't I and I wasn't exactly happy about it. Like for the for the 2 episodes, no, for the 3 episodes that I accused him, because I just thought that he was like just something.
Yeah, like the evil guy killed the
Yeah.
person. Like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
I get that. Johnny, did you actively try to figure it out, or were you just like along for the ride? And if you did try to figure it out, what was your like progression?
All right, so I'm gonna be honest. I didn't try to figure it out while watching the show. I kind of just rode along with it.
That is fine.
And
That's
again,
absolutely fine.
that's the thing. Like that's why I don't really like mysteries, because like when I'm watching a show, it's like I don't want to go into it having to be like I have to be invested in it, which is like kind of what I thought mystery was. Like I'm glad it wasn't this way with the show, but it's like if I go into a show and I like it enough, then it's like okay, then I'm invested. Then like there's more value to it. But so like that was one of the things that like I I really like that, like even if you weren't trying to figure out the mystery, the show was still fun to watch.
Yeah,
Is what I'm
like
saying.
good mysteries will do that because they will like unravel parts of the plot like in a way that's engaging. Because like even if you're not actively trying to figure out who did what, right? Stuff is going on, and then they have moments like the episode 1 even. Drugs are going missing, and it's like well, who could have stolen the drugs? And then they immediately cut to the nurse, right? So then like now you're invested in that plot line, and you figured that plot line out. So like mystery isn't like if you want to engage in it like I do, which is like an obsessive compulsive desire to figure things out like it's a game, you can do that. But if you want to also just like hang out and like read it and let the information be presented to you so that you can like connect the dots afterwards, that's good too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, because that's the thing. I think like a lot of like the mystery stuff that I used to like watch / read was like that, where it's like I wasn't exactly invested into it. So, and then like once they do say who it is, I'm just like, oh okay, that's what it was. Like it wasn't really that much to me, and that's why I didn't end up enjoying it. But yeah, I'm really glad the show was different.
Pat, how about you?
All right. So for me, I like Johnny. I didn't try to figure out the mystery too much, especially after. So during that first episode, like the Dobu gets into the or no, Dobu doesn't get into the cab. Pardon me. The the social media addict or whatever you want to call him, the guy that was trying to go viral, gets into the cab, takes the photo, and I was like, and then I noticed in the split frame of the photo, I saw Dobu in the background, and he hadn't been introduced yet, so I was like, that's it. That's going to be the killer. And then literally 30 seconds later, the show is like, oh, this is Dobu, by the way. And introduce him as like, oh, the main suspect or whatever. And I was like, oh, so he's not the actual killer. I just played myself into thinking that I was super smart when I wasn't. The show kind of humbled me very quickly with that. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't really try to figure the mystery out, to be honest. I just enjoyed it for the ride. I was so much so, or more so, just enjoying the the conversations and the dialogue and the progression of the story. I wasn't really focused too much on who the murderer was. It wasn't really like the thing that I focused on at all, pretty much at all. Like throughout the whole show, I did not care. I did a little bit, but like at the end of the day, I was just more curious about like how Otakawa and Shirakawa were going to keep talking, and the two the radio pair, like what was going on with
Yeah,
them.
they had great dialogue.
So good. The
I thought they
banter
were
was
so, I
so
thought they were
great.
so funny.
Oh, I was loving it. I was like, how are these guys not successful, right? Like, or not more successful, I guess. Again, I enjoyed it. That's what I was mainly focusing on when I was watching the show.
You know what was great dialogue, by the way? I know we've already done so much of the thing, but how Rui's voice actress switched when she was talking to fans and when she was talking to like her manager and stuff. Like, I love things like that, where people have like two different sort of personas and you can like hear it in their voice or whatever, like when they're putting up some sort of front. You know, she's just like really cheery and she seems super genuine, and part of her like is genuine because she mentions like this guy's like a really good fan. We need more fans like him. You know, she has like some soft spot for him, but as soon as like all the fans are gone, she's like a calculator basically, trying to like figure out how to be the best idol. You know, and it's all very focused. I thought it was really good. What's up, Kat?
Not only that, but like you can also tell the difference between her in her idol voice, her in her straight off of work voice, and then her with what's his face, Baba, the I don't know what animal he
Yeah,
is,
the
but
talk
like
show guy.
yeah,
Yeah, the camel.
because yeah, they are like she has a different voice for him, and it's like it's kind of like the idol voice, but it's just different enough that you can tell. Like
Well,
you
because
can
it's her
tell,
being genuinely happy, right, with someone she's
yeah,
actually comfortable with, but it's not putting on like a front. Like it's a very like it's a character that has like 3 or 4 different voices. It's very interesting. Um, to get back to what we were doing really quick, Pete, what was your progression the first time you watched this? Because I know you had some thoughts.
Kind of like Johnny, I was more intrigued by just like going along with the flow than the actual mystery. It wasn't like Perfect Blue where like I needed to know everything. It was a little different. It was just, I guess, kind of like the light it was pictured in was a little different compared to something like Perfect Blue. I originally thought it was like multiple people because the manager was so involved in everything. I thought it was like connected to Rui somehow, like maybe like Rui, like killed whatever the idol, and then the manager is trying to like cover it up, which she kind of did. But like I it's kind of like my thought process, and then kind of like Kat, I thought it was like the obvious evil person, but I thought it was Yano down the road, just because him and the panda like just like beat the shit out of the baboon or whatever. Like it showed that like these people don't care, like they need money, they'll kill whatever to get whatever they need, type of thing. So I kind of thought maybe it was going that route. That's kind of like my thought process, but I really wasn't taking notes and crafting theories and stuff like that. I just thought, man, this show is really fun, and there's also a mystery involved in it, type of thing. So the mystery.
Well, you
the
told
mystery
me
came
it was.
second.
Sorry, you told me it was like Knives Out, which is why I went in with this.
I think a lot of people do compare it to Knives Out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar. I think like in the sense that
It's different, but
there's
like
a whodunit
yeah,
element to it.
There's no real like anime whodunits really type of thing. Like this is like the closest thing we probably have to Knives Out in anime form. So I think when I say I compare it to Knives Out, it's just like a reference to like the style of show it is. Like it's a mystery whodunit. There's a large cast. Do your theory crafting type of thing.
It's like Knives Out meets like I don't know, Love Actually almost like yeah, right? Because like in Love Actually, you're like following all of these different people, and then like their stories converge at the end, and like that happens in Odd Taxi, but like it's Snape doesn't cheat on his wife in this. Kat, what's up?
um I just wanted to go into the comparison between Knives Out and Odd Taxi. I just think that this is actually better than Knives Out because I actually liked it. Um,
Well, that's just a miss on Cat's part because Knives Out is fantastic.
You can fight me on it.
I will.
I
Fight
will
me
as
then.
well.
We'll
What a
fight
great
each
movie.
other,
Put some
not on this
boxing gloves on.
episode.
Let's
We're
go.
talking about Odd Taxi.
Yeah.
Oh, that
That's
was the
all I
whole
gotta
thing?
say.
Okay, Cat was
Yeah,
just
that's all I
Cat
gotta
was just
say.
shitting on Odd Taxi. Okay.
Yeah.
Minus
No,
20
let
DKP.
me-
No, on
Tat.
Knives Out.
He's shitting on
Right.
Knives
Oh
Out.
yeah, sorry, on Knives Out. My apologies. Um, so I think another thing that we should talk about, and I think I'm with Pat on this one like a little bit. There was another major mystery in this show, and it was about Otakawa's health condition that we, knew he had. We knew that there was something wrong with his brain, and basically, he was imagining people as animals, as like a coping mechanism to deal with childhood trauma. So at the end of it, he, there's another taxi accident, and he views people as people again, like post that accident or whatever. It either lets him get over the trauma or it jostles his brain again or something, and he views people as people. Now, I think this is another thing I want to talk about. I think that it might have had the side effect, him like getting like quote unquote cured here, of killing him at the end, because he was able to recognize people so much because of like what animal he viewed them as. And so like, but what did everyone like think of that twist? Because I mean I thought it was like cute, but I also think it didn't have like a very large implication on the story, like overall. Like, I think that it would have been pretty easy to, like, if he just had a really good memory, the story would have been very similar. But I know people have like different takes on that, so I don't know if anyone wants to start on.
I think it's kind of like how me and Johnny view it, where we were like going along for the ride, and I think like this, I'm supposed to call it like a side mystery because, like you said, it really doesn't change like a whole lot. It just kind of changes like the viewpoint of our protagonist type of thing. I just thought it was like a fun side mystery of the show. I think I figured it out. It was like episode 6 where the end of the episode you see like the brain scan, and it's like, oh, it's obviously like Otakawa's brain scan. Something's wrong with his brain. The other point, Miles, I talked about this a while ago in a Discord. But when they refer to, and it's the comedy group as well as Homo sapiens, they say Homo sapiens a lot in the show and like different contexts. I'm like, why do they keep using the word Homo sapien all the time in a world full of animals? And I kind of like put the two together. I'm like, oh, like I bet he's viewing them as animals and they're people, and that's what the case was. And that's kind of like, that was kind of like the mystery that I had. That I had like the fun mystery.
That's so funny because like I viewed that as, oh, it's just the name of a band or a group, just like how there are band names called such as the Doors, the Animals, the Monkeys. There's so many different things. I was just like, oh, this is just something that they named their group just to have a name. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I interpreted whenever they said like Homo sapiens. But yeah, that is, I can see why you also thought that way too.
Yeah, I thought that like what clued me in on it was in the flashbacks that Otakawa has of his accident, all the people are people.
Yeah.
So like the show doesn't even really try to hide it from you, but I can see like, but it like is hidden in a way, because they like change the art style and stuff up for those. So I think people might just like assume that it's different or whatever. Like it's just trying to be more, grimy and dark for the bad flashback scenes or whatever. But I, that was like a thing I picked up on. I know Johnny picked up on the fact that there were like also just like animals in the world.
Yeah, like, I feel so stupid afterwards because I'm like, I posted it on our Discord.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, there's like, hang on a second. There's like actual animals in the show, and they also eat animals. Like the cat was eating chicken nuggets essentially. So now I'm thinking like, wait, is it just birds or just like the bottom bitch of this planet or something? But then there was like an actual cat in the middle of the road. So I'm like I feel like that should have caught me to like think that there's something else going on, but for some reason it just didn't cross my mind. And like I felt so stupid afterwards.
So, uh, so another thing that on that same subject, for some reason when I saw the landlord, because the landlord's a dog. I don't remember her name, but she also had a dog that was outside, and for some reason I thought about it like, oh, maybe once they get older, they like this is some kind of like Cars universe where like it's post human. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? And I was looking at it like, maybe after they get over a certain age, they just become bipedal and become human.
No, they're just Pokemon. They evolve.
Did you watch Sensekai Yori with us, Kat? I don't remember if you were on that episode.
I don't know, but I was like, maybe
wasn't?
maybe this is just a random Cars universe. Like, maybe this is just changed over time.
OddTaxi is just a spin-off of Cars. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh god.
That was during one of the many hiatuses, I believe. I think that was the All of Us plus Happy. I think Happy was there, right? I feel like he was.
I'd be shocked if Happy watched Shinsekai.
That's why I was surprised. But that's why I was surprised. I feel like I remember it being more than 4. Actually, no, it was only 4 of us. Never mind. Doesn't matter. That's a different episode. If you want to listen to us talk about Shinsekai Yori, God, why do I care if you listen to us talk?
You
about
should
that
though.
show?
It's a great show.
I didn't like
episode.
it. It was a good episode.
You're just wrong, Pat.
I guess so. That's never stopped me in the past. That's never. It doesn't matter, Kat. Go find out and listen to the show.
Watch the show, then listen to our review, then decide who you agree with.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyways,
bang,
there are
boom.
similar theories to your horrible dystopian post-human world in Sensekai Yori. There's a world where OddTaxi takes place in the far future after Sensekai Yori. So, that's like now canon to me. I think that's good.
I think there's one
okay.
thing that we should talk about, and it's what starts off the show, and it's how good the music is, especially the OP and the ED.
The OP is good. Oh my god.
Yes.
It's like literally my notes are like, yo, this fucking slaps. Like I have like 4 lines of notes just on how good the OP is before the show.
This is really silly, but like when EDs the songs don't match the tone, I love it. I don't know if you remember the Wonder Egg Priority ED is like super happy and jollyful, and like it doesn't match the tone at all. And OddTaxi kind of had like the same thing when there's like serious moments at the end of the episode, then you hear like the do 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 do. I don't know if anybody remembers the ED, but the ED is like super happy and fun, and the episode just ends on like, he might have brain cancer. Do 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 do. I don't know, shit like that. I crack up.
I super dig that too. I also like it when you have a show that has a happy ED, and then like something bad happens and it changes to like an ED that's like really dark, like out of nowhere, which is a little different than what it does. But like tone shifts and EDs
Does
in
Madoka
any way,
do that?
I think Madoka does that.
Yeah.
Of course it does. Miles likes it. Come on.
ED3 is the first time they play Magia, and then also in the latest Higurashi series, they have like, you know, this like sad little somber ED, and then like there's a scene where 2 people you get absolutely fucking murdered in a way you were not expecting. It's like very, very poignant scene, and then like a new ED just starts up and like essentially replays the scene, and it was another level. Kat, what's up? What are your thoughts on the music and stuff?
So when I first watched the show, I recall like posting in the Discord, "Yo, I just got past the OP and this show is already a fucking 10." Um, and one of the things that I noted while I was watching the show was that like there are episodes where the OP is actually shorter, so they don't go through the whole like OP song, and it just goes through like I think it goes through like the first maybe like half of the OP, and like on those shows it made me feel like it was starting off on like an off foot because I wanted to hear the whole song before I watched the episode, and then here I was like, okay, now I gotta fucking pause, go to my YouTube Music, listen to the whole song, and then and then continue. Also, the whole song is amazing. But the ED really wasn't that. I don't have the same feeling as Miles and Pete. It really didn't capture me as much as the OP did.
Oh,
Like
I agree with
did,
that. I think the ED is like a good ED, and I think the
yeah,
OP
yeah.
is like a 10 out of 10 OP.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Like I didn't think that I didn't have any problem skipping the ED. I had problems skipping the OP. So that was just me. Like there were a few times like while I was watching where my power went out and like it tried to continue where I was and like no, just go back to the front, go back to the start of the song. Let me listen to the whole song and then continue. Okay, chill.
Wait, your power went out?
Yeah, my power went out a few times. We were having some really bad thunderstorms.
Ah, I see.
But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, the music was great in general. I guess I'll just throw my 2 cents out there. Yeah, like everyone else said, the OP was fun. I loved the jazzy feel of it. All jazzy OPs are great. I mean, like, you think about like OPs like Death Parade that are just so over the top happy, even if the show is a very, very different message. Which, of course, not that this show was sad by any means, but it didn't have that same energy necessarily that the OP had. I feel like a lot of the time, which was fine. Again, it worked for the show. I will say though, there is one song that would play, and it was like the aloof or like goofy song that would kind of just play. A lot of the time, it was when God, what's his name, Kakihana was on the screen early on. The song would start playing, and every time I thought the first like note of the song was a fart or something.
Oh,
And
I
it,
know what you're
notice
talking
that.
about.
you know what
I
I'm
know
talking
you're
about?
talking
In the first few episodes, it happened a few times where I was like, did the walrus just fart in the car? And it's like, no, it's because this goofy song is starting to play, or it's transitioning to the next scene. And it caught me at least 3 times. I was just like, fart? Fuck, it wasn't a fart. You know, like,
It's
I
like
just, I
the
was just
scene where
like,
the walrus is just like driving, and then, like the passenger's like, you didn't take the turn." He just like looks back at them and farts.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
It's
saying.
like,
It's something like that, right? Like,
establishing your dominance upon your customers.
yeah, just stand there T-posing or something.
yeah,
If
just
you
That's
see
what
those
it was.
while you're driving a taxi, you're fucking dead.
Yeah, not with this guy's driving skills. I mean, he could drive through cement cinder block walls that would stop an 18-wheeler flying driving into him. But you know, we don't care about plot holes in our anime.
Not at all.
No, I know. I was being very
the
nitpicky
major
with that.
plot hole for me for that was the fucking alpaca just being able to dive and rescue him.
Dive under,
Exactly.
shout, hoya, do whatever her little
You heard
karate thing.
capoeira.
Kawa, and
Underwater.
then underwater, break glass underwater, which you could shoot a gun underwater and it probably wouldn't have broken that glass. But the way that pressure works, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Like it's crazy.
Don't
but it was,
fact check that.
but there's a reason. There's a reason they didn't show her actually breaking the glass because it was bullshit. But that's fine. It doesn't matter.
I mean, it was fine, but that was like the one moment of the show that made me roll my fucking eyes. I was like, okay, like I understand we're not gonna kill him right here, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that whole
Just, like-
whole scene was just genius. Like when the two dudes are like making up, the comedy dudes, and he's like, "Are you serious? I'm really being interrupted by a car."
Yeah.
A flying car.
A flying
Oh.
car showering fucking money everywhere.
That scene was so just so much fun. It just like added to like the whole thing of the show of it being
When you
this.
saw the
An odd
humanity
taxi.
of every character in that scene, right?
Yeah,
Like
it was great. Like everybody was like there.
was so
It's
good.
all coming together, Chubsy. It was great.
Yeah.
God. There were so many little details in this show. Like I thought like when what's his name? I don't know. Crazy cat guy shoots his window out,
Oh, yeah.
and then Otakawa is like, I don't know, he didn't steal anything. I was like, I bet he like bugged his car and like that happened. Like how everything happened for like a reason and stuff in the show is just something that I like always enjoy, right? Like how every like things come back in ways. There's like very little wasted scenes. Cat.
You just made me realize something. So, okay, so the chick, the actual murderer chick. So
Yes.
she puts her phone in the car, right? And that made.
Oh my god, she does. That's how she found
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how.
That makes
that's how
okay,
she-
Pat, that
No,
answers the question.
No. Not only just that, but like, the question that I had was like, so he goes through and says that he says that somebody put a phone in his car, and then a phone has a limited battery life, so they'd probably put a tracker in his car, and he found a tracker. So I was confused about it, and then it kind of connected the dots. Like maybe there's an unseen connection between the dude that is trying to kill him and the chick that was there, so she could tie up a loose end. And then I thought about it and was like, but then how does one lead to the other? And then I was like, hold up, wait. If he was, then I got another plot hole because I'm thinking about this in real time. So, oh shit, I just got another plot hole. So I think that she ended up having to retrieve her phone, and then he ended up just breaking into his car. God.
Well, they don't need to be connected, right?
I know, but like just his dialogue that he had, it makes me think that they have to be connected somehow. And now I'm just like,
So
Find out
I mean,
next
we
time on
see her
Dragon Ball
place
Z.
the phone. We see him like we know how the other guy tracked him,
Yeah.
right? Because he like literally bugged the car. So
Mhm.
he could like follow it around and everything. Like I don't think that they need to be connected because they both have their own motivation for going after Otakawa.
Yeah.
I think this is a good time to translation to the very last scene though. On a scale of 1 to 10, how dead does everyone think Otakawa is? Because he's dead. I think he's 100% dead,
I
and I
say
think
it's
that is
really,
such a
one.
bummer. Okay, Pete chooses to live in Fairy Tale Land.
Absolutely.
Yes, he does.
Absolutely.
He likes to believe that he's not just completely dead in the fucking
His
taxi
carotid
cab.
artery
Oh my
wasn't stabbed by a pen.
God. Yeah.
Okay, so I would say unless they give more information about that scene, it's like if they do like a season 2 and there was like a scene that takes place 5 minutes before that scene where Otakawa somehow finds out that she's gonna kill him, then it's a lower chance. But the way that it's presented and that assuming that he doesn't know, it's probably like an 8 out of 10 that he dies.
Okay, so
It's
just
just-
your
There's never
I'm
gonna be a
I'm gonna
season
get your
2.
take. So if they show him not dying, there's a lower chance he's dead.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was the take.
I guess his take is that if they show that he somehow knows, even with her getting into the car, so like she gets in the car and he doesn't know that she's there to kill him. If he found out that she was there to kill him, then he would be able to. Then he might not be dead because he'll be ready for her to attack him or whatever. But of course, again, sorry to burst your bubble, Johnny. There will never be a season 2 for this show. I would bet.
Yeah, there's probably no way.
I would bet money. Lots and lots of money.
I'd bet an
I won't say-
organ. that it won't.
4,000.
Yeah, that there will never be a season 2. There will never be an OVA. There
There's
will
no
never
need
be
to.
any sequel. The show is complete. It is as complete as you can get without showing him raw dogging Shirakawa like, a few years down the line, which of course in this case won't happen because
He's dead.
And
Because
it's not
he
raw
gets killed.
dogging,
That's not-
it's
I mean,
raw
you don't-
walrusing.
You don't know if that's gonna stop her.
He's not a walrus. He's
Oh,
he's
dear.
a
No, but
He
in
has
their
a human.
world, raw dogging
Not
is
deer,
called
Miles.
raw walrusing.
is it?
Yes.
Because in his world is our
Pat,
world.
I'm making
because
this
he's a
up.
human.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I know, that's my point though. It's a bad joke, Pete. You
It's
should
a
feel
great
good about
joke.
this
That is a 6 out of 10 joke.
You need to. I think you should stop horsing around. And,
You-
focus
Like,
on,
according to Mal, your 6
let me
out of 10
handle the
joke
jokes.
is fine.
yeah.
Uh,
This one's a 4 out of 10. This one's a bad joke.
That's a
so there
bad
you
joke.
go.
yeah, it's
Oh,
a bad
man.
joke.
I know somebody out there laughed once. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. There you go. Maybe my mom laughed. Too,
Okay,
but she doesn't
one
know
of
what's
our
going
8
on, so.
viewers, if you are
Whoa.
the 1 out of the 8,
We
that-
have more. No,
we have
let-
at least double digits.
we average more than 8 viewers. Please,
we
Miles.
have dozens of viewers. If you are one of the dozens of viewers that laughed at Pete's joke, please comment below.
If no one comments, we will assume no one laughed at the joke.
It's
Yep.
we're a podcast. I don't expect people to leave.
Oh, and okay, I think this is important to note.
Where's
Mako
Mako?
doesn't count.
Mako
Doesn't
counts.
count. Mako doesn't
counts.
count.
Mako counts. Mako, leave a comment in the YouTube saying that I'm funny, please. Thank you.
Yeah, Mako, absolutely.
Pete,
do not
you're
do
bribing her, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, so what?
I would like
Play the win.
I would like to mention that I think it is a 6 out of 10 that he's dead. Mainly because I don't want him to die because he's a really good character. But whatever.
Yeah,
Probably
no,
gonna
I
make them
I
say
think
that.
it's like kind of tragic. Well, what's interesting is he had a hard time. I wonder if like the fact that they were both black cats played with his like, because he had a hard time piecing it together, even back when his like condition was there. He like realized after the fact that it was a different girl, and then he like kind of remembers it at the end. He's like, oh yeah, like this thing happened, but he didn't seem to recognize her. I've seen that people have said like, because he's kind of like a risk taker, that like maybe he's trying to like entrap her in some way, and I could see that. But I think he's dead. I think he's really dead. And I'm pretty sad about it.
I think he's alive. He's prosperous. He's got a beautiful kung fu girlfriend. He's living it up. He's living the life, my man.
I should clarify. I love him too, but yeah, no, he's
You said-
sleeping
no,
with the fishes. Yeah.
I think Pat's with me. We're both sad he's dead.
Very sad.
Yeah, like it's a bummer that after all of this, Idol killed him.
Yeah.
But
It's the opposite of like the Departed ending, where you're watching the Departed. Sorry, pardon me.
Yo,
Let me
that's
bring out my
wicked
document.
sick.
Now, the Departed, when Maki Mak is standing there, and Matt Damon walks into the room, and you're just like, or the other way around rather. Well, no, he does.
You're
walk
right.
into the
You're
room.
right. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
I was right. I should trust myself. He walks in, and he's just like, oh, for fuck, and he gets killed like right in that moment. It's like, yeah, no, that is the exact opposite thing that happened in this show. It's like very clearly implied that he is dead. It's too bad, but it's just how it is. Like,
The Departed just has 2 like out of nowhere deaths like right at the end.
It's
I
a-
love it.
It's a great
yeah.
movie.
It's one of my favorite movies ever.
I'm
I love
nominating The
this
Departed
movie.
for next episode.
Seriously, that and well, whenever we eventually do a
Twilight.
an anime, well, I was about to say, yeah, our anime watch club, watch a real show or movie. We will have to have The Departed and Twilight as 2 of our shows that are thrown in there.
If I have to watch Twilight, I'm leaving.
Twilight's
Yeah,
great.
No, it's not.
It's so good.
You're
It's
you're
not-
just a horny teenage girl.
Team
It's
Edward,
okay.
happening?
baby. Team Edward, baby.
I'm gonna nominate Boku no Pico just to piss everyone off.
Good
No,
luck,
well,
Johnny.
Good luck.
Yikes.
Good luck getting any votes. That's
Oh,
anyway.
weird.
I
and-
will find people.
And this
I
is
will
Johnny's last episode. It's funny how that worked out.
find-
Unfortunate. At least he nominated a show before he left.
and,
Um,
I have left my mark.
in our honor, it received 0 points.
all right. Yeah. So I think it's about time. We've talked about a lot of the good things in the show. I didn't have any specific complaints that we didn't already kind of talk about. I thought a lot of the time, the only thing I can really think of was that there was a lot of circumstantial things that happened where it was just like, oh, why did this happen? A little bit of a coincidence. And it's not like and this is me nitpicking too. Like, it's not like this was a prominent problem where I don't know, like the entire everything that happens in the show is just happens to be a coincidence.
There
Uh,
goes Miles.
Miles,
my
Miles
okay.
passed away. It's all right.
All
though.
good, all good. He disagreed vehemently with me about this one, so it's okay. It makes sense. He hated my take on this when we were talking about it personally. But yeah, so I did not think that so like the guy finding the gun buried in the park, like in theory, for this story to happen the way it happened, that complete coincidence had to happen. Or of course, what's her name? At the very end, like we talked about in the last scene, Yuki finding you can look for a taxi cab in Tokyo all you want. Whether you're gonna find it or not, if you actually do find it, especially it doesn't seem like she's been looking for very long and she just finds it. That's very lucky. That's very coincidental. But of course, I guess now we figured out. I'm not 100% sure that she had left her phone in there actually or not, but I don't remember that. But if that's the case,
One of
then
the idols did.
no, the guy left
No,
it
it
in
was-
there, didn't he? At the beginning of
No,
the
it
show,
was her.
the guy who's trying to go viral left his phone in. Unless there's, I can't remember the other.
She
the other.
shoves it in the cushion.
In between the two
Yeah,
scenes.
in between the two
Um,
scenes.
You're right.
I agree with you that like the gun thing is like a coincidence. I think like the Yuki thing is that like we don't need to see her looking for 4 days. Like
Right,
you
but
know,
the fact that she could find him so easily to me, it's just like that's a very nitpicky complaint, though. I understand that.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I just feel like would the show be better if we like had 20 minutes of her looking around for him? Like I don't think it's needed. Like you can fill in the blanks there. Like
Yeah.
that's what happened. I mean, I like and like the gun thing. I think you're like absolutely right. Like that's something that like the odds of that happening are astronomical. You just pick the one tree that Dabu buried the gun under to bury your bird. Um, but like the Yuki thing, I'm just saying, like I just think that was like, is it a coincidence? I don't know, maybe, or is it them just like cutting out fluff that wouldn't add anything to the show? Like that's probably like my take. So because she says she's been looking for him, we don't know how long it's been. It's been long enough for her to have like a solo idol career and be like crushing it. So Mama always told me to take what I wanted, as she said.
Yeah.
Shoot or shoot.
Shoot,
Right,
shoot,
right?
Yuki.
The coincidence of when he puts out a distress signal in his taxi in the first few episodes with it just happens to be the corrupt cop that is the one that comes to his aid, or well would have come to his aid when he puts out the SOS sign. Like again, there's like just a bunch of things that it's like but of course that's the case in every heist show or heist movie. It's like, oh, this circumstantial thing happened, or this very specific thing happened in a certain way. And you know what? You gotta just suspend your disbelief because it's a show. So that's why I thought it would be good to address it at least, even if it is being very nitpicky. Again, it didn't like impact my enjoyment of the show. Like, it's just something I thought about after that. I was like, oh wow, it was really convenient that this happened.
I mean, I agree with those other two. I just think the Yuki thing is not a coincidence. I think if you're looking for something and you find it, that happens.
Yeah.
That's like, that I do agree. The other one is like, shows like this are like I agree with what you're saying. Like there are coincidences that are needed to like tie these plot lines together. Because that's like what the show is trying to do.
I want to point out one thing with that, like with the idol looking for the taxi. His taxi is actually a private practice, like it's a private taxi company that's run by him. So he's not running through a taxi business because like all the other taxis that you see look the same. So the other taxis are more like Crown Victorias, kind of like Ford Crown Vics, like the ones that you see in New York City and stuff like that. But his taxi is more compact sedan shaped. It looks different. And I think because of that, it is kind of showing that it's easier to find his specific taxi.
Is that
I
true? Like we only
I don't-
see like
for
two
one, I don't-
taxis in the show.
For one, I don't think so, and then
But
two,
there's one
okay,
that
fine. There's
failed
one
the
specific.
taxi.
You're trying to find a specifically shaped taxi in Tokyo, with the biggest metropolitan
Well, is it
city
in
in the
Tokyo?
world. I'm pretty sure that this takes place in Tokyo.
I don't think they
or,
ever say
all
it
right, fine.
does.
If you are trying to find one specific taxi, I'm
It
pretty
takes
sure they
place
say
in
Tokyo.
Tokyo. They
Yeah, I
do.
was gonna say. I feel like I
Yeah,
wouldn't
no,
come
they
up with that
mentioned
name.
it.
You're trying to
one of
find
the-
a random taxi in the city
Well, they
of
probably like work in
Cleveland.
like their own like
Like,
neighborhood or whatever. Like he
Yeah,
probably
they
doesn't
have like regions. And
yeah,
stuff.
he
You
probably
don't
doesn't
work-
like drive north 10 miles every day. He probably like does the same like blocks every day. I'm assuming that's they do routes. You have like
how
territory.
many taxis are in New York City? And no, they don't.
Like
they,
a million or something.
Yeah, and how many would be in Tokyo?
I mean, I'm saying I would
I
find
don't
it.
think there's as many actually.
Me,
I don't
me and
think
Miles are
there's
super humble and smart. We definitely find it. So like, I get it. Like,
There's an audio drama.
The what?
There's an
This?
OddTaxi audio drama. Like, yeah, they have like another
You know-
version of this. Is I just realized it's going to be in Japanese, so I'm not going to be able to listen
Yeah,
to
but,
it. But
can it just be the two voice actors for the podcast, like describing the plots of the plot of the story?
just yeah.
That would
I-
be great.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to read this.
we
This
should
is
do
exciting.
best character, maybe best and worst character,
Yeah.
because the cast is big, and I think it'd be fun to see what people thought of different people.
Yes.
All right, I'll go
Yeah.
first.
Okay,
Yeah.
who do we got?
Oh, do you want to do best boy, best girl, or like best character, worst character? Because it's kind of this one's
It's not a
kind
waifu show. I
Yeah,
think this
I
is.
kind of want to just
All right.
best character, worst
All right.
character.
Yeah, I think best do best and worst.
Yeah,
because it's not a
sounds
waifu
good.
show.
My best character. This is pretty rare in shows. A lot of times I don't pick the main character, but my favorite character was Otakawa. I loved him. I loved everything about him. His voice actor, just like how he handled conversations, how he handled interactions. I like that he like sometimes like fucked up in situations and just like and like tried to like go along with like what he screwed up with or tried to fix the situation, and I really enjoyed that about his character. Worst character was Taichi. I hate clout chasers. I was honestly hoping Taichi would like get hit by the odd taxi. That would have been great. People who are in malls and like live and like sing and stuff is super annoying, and Taichi was super annoying.
He got his though.
He
like,
did get his, but like, him getting hit by a car or something would have been great. So, or getting shot. If Dobu shot him, that would have been great. Yeah, he was my worst character.
All right. What about you, Miles? What have you got?
Sure. I think like Otakawa is probably also my favorite. I want to give a shout out to Rui though. She's not like in a ton of it, but the scene she's in, she's like a very dynamic character, which I really like. I like the whole sort of like shiny outside, sort of darker inside thing with her. The reason I'm not speaking as much to Otakawa is because Pete, talked about Otakawa and how great he is. My least favorite character, I'm gonna go with the older Damon. Fuck cops.
Yeah,
He's like a huge piece of shit. He like manipulates his brother, and hides behind like authority in order to enrich himself and stuff. Like I think he's just like an absolute scumbag. Who has like a nice kind of moment of redemption at the end, I guess, where he like gets the absolute shit beat out of him and is like, I guess I should probably do something good with my life now. But whatever.
Completely fair.
Showing up at all those coincidental times.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. All right, Kat, what have you got?
All right, so I honestly gotta go with Otakawa again. It's my favorite character because I there's nobody really even close to him in my book because like everybody else they are really good characters, but like he in a way he kind of carries the show because it's based around him for the most part, and like every time he's on the screen, he is amazing. My worst character is. Like I was thinking about this as throughout our conversation because I knew I was gonna have to choose one, and it went between Aiji, Taichi, and Hajime, well, Tanaka. So I couldn't really decide between the three until our pre-discussion where we were talking about why he's doing these things. I really think it was a good foil for everybody else, but good to add a little bit of chaos into the scene. But Tanaka was my least favorite character. He just his reasons for doing it annoyed me. And another thing that we talked about before we started recording was I get that addiction is a real thing, and if you are addicted to something, you should definitely go and get some help. But you are responsible for your actions, and he just blamed everything else except for himself. And I just that annoyed me more than IG and his whole fake relationship with Shiho. So I didn't like it. So plus his happy ending, I didn't think it was really well deserved. But yeah, so that's all I gotta say.
Yes, we Cat hates to see addicts with mental illness recover and live a happy life afterwards.
That
Good
is
to know.
not what I said.
It's essentially what you just
That's
said.
not what
I
he
know.
said. That's not what he
I'm
said
kidding.
at all.
It's
Can
what
we get a
I.
different mod to speak his opinions on this?
Pardon me for making a joke. I guess that was a 4 out of
That
10
was-
joke.
That was a 3
Whatever.
out
That
of
was
10
not a-
joke.
What?
Ooh,
No, I mean, that's
3
literally what
very
Kat
bad.
said. Why doesn't he deserve a happy ending? Like, what
Because
did he do?
he did
killed
not
someone.
own up to his situation at all.
Yeah,
Because he couldn't.
He
He
shot
mentally is
somebody.
not-
He almost
he's
killed
mentally
somebody.
he's mentally incapable of owning up to the situation. But again, that was something we discussed.
He's
before.
mentally
That doesn't
able
mean
to
he's
shoot
not
somebody with a
going-
gun.
Let's talk about
That-
this. We just very much interpret the situation differently, as a group. So let's not
Yeah.
fight over this. It's just
again,
our
my
way of
bad for
seeing
making
the
a
Fight,
joke.
character.
Can I
fight,
say
fight.
my favorite characters now?
Yes, I was about to ask you, Johnny. What have you got?
Alright, so I'm gonna go with everyone else. I don't think there's anyone else. It's Otakawa. The man's a legend. I love deadpan characters that sound condescending as hell to everyone around them. I think that's funny as hell. And there's not really much else I can say that anyone else hasn't said. He's a great character. For worst character, and honestly, for this show, there's not really that many bad characters. I think they're all really good, but the worst character I'm gonna give it to is Kakihana, the baboon. And I feel like the animal that Otakawa envisioned him as is kind of accurate to him as a person. Because my god, he is just an absolute baboon. He meets this girl on Tinder, pretends that he's a millionaire, and then he shows up and pays with cash.
Takes out the loan.
and then he literally takes out a loan from a fucking mafia and to buy her a wedding ring on the second date. I'm gonna just say this guy deserved to get kidnapped. You literally made a deal with the mafia. What is wrong with you? It's just he's a total baboon. That's all I'm gonna say.
I gotta say, I think there is a baboon in the show, and it's not him.
Yeah, that's why I was confused.
But I don't know what he
No,
is. He's like a Marapan or something.
Is he not a baboon? He's some kind of
Marsupial. He's a monkey.
The monkey.
He's some kind of primate.
Yeah. All right. I think I'll echo as well. I also agree that there's not really much else to say. Otakawa was great. He was easily the best character in the show. Probably because he had the most dialogue, most screen time, most character depth, most exploration, most development, everything. I will say most of the characters in the show were because of how many there were. Man, every time I speak, someone seems to just die. It's too bad.
Power is too strong.
I guess so. The opinions are so wrong that they just make people disconnect, I guess. I jest. I felt like the characters in the show were one-dimensional outside of Otakawa. In general, again, this is not
Really?
every
I thought
character.
like every single character was multidimensional. I'm not kidding. I
Yeah.
thought every single character was
I thought that they
three-dimensional.
were one-dimensional, but they were all interesting because they all fit their role, and because there were so many of them, that's why they reached that why they worked. You know, because there were so many of them, it didn't matter that they really only fulfilled their one role, which of course that's the case with most characters, though. That's all. I think like. So like if this was a really small cast of like 4 people in the show or 6 main characters or whatever, then that would be a glaring weakness of the show. But because there were so many people that because like I don't know, so because like to me, um the 2 cop brothers, right? Like one was like lawful good, the other was a little bit of chaotic good, right? Like,
He
like
was not chaotic good. He was
lawful evil.
Neutral.
he was lawful
lawful
evil.
evil. I thought
Yeah.
isn't chaotic good? I don't know, whatever. This is
No,
Right.
chaotic good
Chaotic
is
good, you have to be doing like the right thing, but you like don't care about the law. You're like,
Exactly.
I guess
if
you're right. Yeah,
yeah.
I was thinking about it like trying to be the opposite of what I said, but the other way flipped around. You're right. Whatever.
the way that you play your D&D character.
No, not at all. I've been like
It's exactly
said
the
you
way
weren't
you
gonna
play
talk
your
about
D&D
D&D.
character.
I didn't want to, but it got brought up, so it's whatever. We move on. But anyways, but like Shun was like just the idol fan, right? And like it was cool to see like he was like, "Oh, I might support them or might support her still if it gets proved that she's innocent, but if not, then you know, it is we're going to
If
come to a
she's not innocent,
consensus."
it'll be fun to visit an idol in prison.
No, but then he
That's what
also
he
right after he says that, but then after he says
What a
we'll have to decide if we'll still be fans of her after. He does say that after. So it's like he's just wholesome idol fan, like just devoted to death. Like I don't know. Again, it's not like the characters were I shouldn't say that I meant one-dimensional in like a truly like bad way. I just meant that as the characters just kind of stayed I feel like outside of Otakawa, they tended to stay on their path, which is fine. Again, it was just um it was
like the
something that
role they play versus their like characterization.
yeah, I guess so, yeah. But yeah, so worst character for me, I guess then is the I don't know, I just didn't enjoy the bad cop. I guess that's Kenshiro, right? Is his name? That's the one that isn't Koshiro. So yeah, I didn't like him because he kind of just was. I mean, they kind of address why he's just bad for no reason, you know, like he's I don't know. They don't really address that well in my opinion. So
Well, money.
well, yeah, but like, so his little brother isn't corrupted by money. Like, why? Like, I don't know. I thought it would be like, I guess, but either way, that doesn't work for me, or it doesn't get me excited like the other characters did. So I didn't like it when he was on screen. So there you go.
I mean,
I guess that's why
the guy's a
character.
complete chump.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, at least his brother was like wholesome, and he also treated his brother like shit. Didn't like that. So yeah, I don't know. He's my worst boy, or worst guy, or worst character in general. But yeah, all right. Let's get into our final thoughts and scores. Miles, what have you got?
Yeah, I had like so much fun watching this show. Like I enjoy like the game of it. I enjoyed being able to like try to figure out everything. I thought the characters were great. I thought they were really realistically written. They showed, like really like human and like realistic like motivations and responses to things. I thought that the mysteries were all like pretty well put together. You were able to like something is like season 1 or episode 1 or 2, just like commenting like that the black cat couldn't dance as well anymore, right? Like dialogue about that gets brushed aside or whatever is actually like a massive hint. I love things like that where any line of dialogue could be really important to the fabric of the show. The show is amazing. I'm gonna give it a 10. I think it's a masterpiece. I suggest everyone watch it.
Wow.
Like, if you don't think it's a 10, I think that's probably fine. But I can't see many people giving this like a 6, for example. I think that everyone will enjoy the show to some extent. So, it hits a lot of my notes, but I think even if it hits like a little fewer of your notes, it's still a very enjoyable, good show to watch. So,
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Kat, what have you got?
So, on my side of things, I also really enjoyed the show. I also really enjoyed trying to figure out the actual the mysteries going on in the show, because I did try and guess the other ones, but the main mystery, I like the fact that that you could get into different mysteries inside the show and not just the main one, and you could be distracted for a few episodes from one mystery to the next, and it really tossed in those like subplots and in a way that really engaged me, and like I really enjoyed pretty much everything in the show, even Taichi being a huge clout chaser, uh, but uh, but for my score, like I was tossing between either a 9 and a 10, because of what's his name, Kakihana's like obsession with the idol that was basically trying to hustle him, uh and in the end I really just thought that that actually added to the whole story and actually gave Otakawa even more depth. And even though I didn't exactly enjoy Kakehana and his subplot, I think because of the payoff, it paid off better uh, through watching that part of the show. So I ended up just giving it a 10 out of 10, because it really is a masterpiece. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say.
All right. Johnny, what about you?
So again, with everyone else, I agree that the show is amazingly well done. Like there are very few things I can say about the show that are like flaws or like issues. If anything, they're just like personal opinions on stuff. Like shows music, animation, voice acting. Like also, we didn't mention this, but like the sound direction as well. Like the way that like certain sound effects are used and stuff like that. Like I thought that was amazing in this show. So yeah, like all of that is really good. There's just, and I've said this before on the podcast. It's like sometimes a show just hits you differently, and it's hard to describe it, and then you're instantly thinking this is a 10. This unfortunately was close, but I just don't think it did enough for me to get that to the 10. So I will be giving this a 9, but I do highly recommend anyone to
how
watch
dare
it.
you, Johnny? A
I'm sorry,
9?
you gave Violet Evergarden a 7, so I don't care.
No, giving this
Yeah.
a 9 is a super fair opinion. Just like giving Violet Evergarden a 7 is a super fair opinion.
Sure.
It is a fair
I guess so. We disagree on that. But Pete, what about you?
Yeah, so it's hard. The first time I reviewed this and watched this, I gave it a 9. I really liked it. There's so many things I liked about it. Watching it back the second time, I really liked picking up on things I missed. I really enjoyed, like, even now, like, focusing more on, like, the dialogue the time around was super fun. I had a great time rewatching it. And it came down, kind of like Cat, is this a 9 or a 10? And it came down to me where, is this better than Perfect Blue? And it's not. So I'm giving it a 9. I thought it was really good, and
Is this better than your fourth favorite show of all time? No, it's a 9.
fifth favorite show of all time. So yeah, it's a
Okay.
9. It's still really good. I'd highly recommend it, but it's not Perfect Blue.
What's nice about this as opposed to Perfect Blue is this ending makes sense.
The
So-
ending to
Yeah.
Perfect Blue is incredible. It's so good.
Good, but it doesn't. It's still not wrapped up entirely.
I know that's the point.
At least this one, it's like implied.
That's the
It's not fully
point.
wrapped up, but
That's
it's
the
kind of like.
point. You just don't like open-ended endings. It's fine.
Well, I like open-ended endings that have like some direction to them. This, of
There's
course,
all
there's a
right.
little bit in Perfect
Watch
Blue.
our
Again,
Perfect
it's
Blue
just-
episode.
It was good. It was a good show. I also think I gave Perfect Blue a 9. Anyways, I will wrap up quick as well. Again, I enjoyed it, and props to the show. I was not excited at all. going into this week, having to watch it, or this session. I don't know. I heard I heard about it, and I was just like, whatever. During the season that it was airing, after the fact, I was even after, and I heard good things about it. I was still like, I don't care. I'm not gonna watch it. Then I got stuck having to watch it, and I am glad that I had to watch it for Watch Club. Because I never would have on my own time. It was a really good time. Really loved the dialogue, like we've said. However, I was not. I don't know. There has to be that wow factor for a show to be a 10 for me, or like a true, genuine, just being blown away at the ending or the final whatever. And I wasn't for the show, but I also I can't poke that many holes in it either. So I will say the animation, it was stylized, but it wasn't always beautiful either, in my opinion. I think I didn't. Again, it wasn't like it was poorly animated. It was the style that I didn't
It was
always
like
get along with.
minimal for like I thought it was like minimal for like a reason, but I could definitely see why people like wouldn't like it.
Well, it doesn't. It's not. Yeah. So and of course, so I'm not expecting everything to be Violet Evergarden level pretty, but I also didn't love. I don't know. I've done the same thing with other shows like Ping Pong. I didn't like the stylist of the animation.
Sure, that
right?
makes sense.
Right. And so it's the same with this one, where it wasn't nearly as drastic as Ping Pong, but I definitely still didn't love certain parts of it. I don't know. It just felt, yeah, like you said, minimal at times, and I was just like, all right, it works, but it's not my favorite. That being said, the
Otakawa.
show's a 9. The show's a 9 for me.
That's a new record, baby.
It is a new record.
It is a new record. I was doing the math.
Wait,
We have a we have a 9.4 for OddTaxi, which
Is that the highest?
Yes.
it is the
Yeah,
highest.
That beat Tokyo Godfathers by a decent margin.
Yeah, that I mean, this is the highest by a lot.
Well, yeah, it takes a lot to get everyone to like a show. It has to be profound or edgy in some way for Miles to like it. It has. I know that's a joke at your expense. It has to be dumb enough that Johnny can get it right, like
Okay,
or easy
you know
enough to
what?
follow. As you know, I'm very humble, so this is this just me
Miles is the
speaking.
humble one,
Oh,
The
and
number one most humble
and
list.
I'm the crumbliest of the crumblest.
Dude, you're I've heard your apple crumble is the crumble
It's
list.
so crumbly.
these old people in this podcast.
Never
All
stop
right.
stopping.
Never stop,
yeah,
never
so-
stopping.
I wish I got this reference. It doesn't matter though.
Watch
All right,
Popstar, Andy Samberg. It's an incredible movie.
No, thank you.
It's
all right.
it's funny. It's 7 out of 10.
I'll
It's a
trust
little
you.
Better than Pete's joke from earlier.
A lot better, I'm sure. All right, moving on. That's OddTaxi. That's our discussion. Again, the 9.4. That is a new Watch Club record, at least for Watch Club specific and voted shows. I'm kind of surprised it got this high. I really am. But and after watching it, I'm not. Before watching it, I would have been. But yeah, that's it. So Miles, we voted on some shows. From last week. What did we vote and what did we come to?
We did. So our number 3 show, High Rise Invasion.
Damn.
Earning a legacy point.
Wow, Pat is good at getting legacy
Go,
points.
Pat.
Yes.
Shout out to Johnny. It was close. This was a close one. Johnny did like a tactical vote for High Rise. And it like almost won. So I was a little tempted to lie to try to teach him a lesson, but that's okay. We've already learned the one lesson the time we had to watch Pet. So
Yeah,
Great
Pat.
show. Great show.
number 2 we have Happy's domination,
Oh.
Raphael
I
or
know.
whatever.
I thought that was
so
going to
sad.
win.
Are you serious? I got second place.
I thought that was
Well,
going to win.
I pushed really hard for that.
Miles and I
Um,
think both put it first. I think
I put
I put it
second.
first. And then the number 1 show, and this is the first time I am not excited to win, by the way. But I did promise my cousin I would nom it, so we will be watching Afro Samurai.
Nice.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a nice easy week. The show's like 5 episodes. So
Can I watch Can I watch that that Netflix thing that came out recently instead?
Yasuke's worse than
Yasuke.
Afro Samurai.
Is it really? Okay,
Yasuke has
never mind.
robots in historical Japan. Like, it's
I
garbage.
know that was a really dumb garbage thing, but I could at least enjoy the historical setting somewhat.
Swing
I
and a
don't know.
miss.
I
Afro
guess so.
Samurai has like a 736, so I'm sure it's going to be like really cool when Afro Samurai does like Afro Samurai stuff, and it's not going to be very substantive. That's my guess.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I honestly I think you would have more fun actually reading the actual history of the first African samurai.
Yeah,
rather
Yasuke.
than
Yeah,
watching
Yasuke,
the anime.
yeah.
Yasuke, we know. I've
Yeah.
read his history. It's fascinating. It's really cool, and I was really excited for that
Yeah.
show until suddenly someone told me, "Hey, by the way, there's robot mechas in this show," and I was just like, "Thank you for saving me my time."
582 on Mal is Yasuke.
Really? Because
Yeah.
everyone was so excited too. Because like it was like, oh,
That's like 3
some
points higher
famous
than it should be.
yeah, it's like some famous director is directing it too. Like, oh wow, or
It
someone.
was the first black director
For-
of a traditional Japanese anime.
Damn.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to wait a few more years for the second. If that's the reception for
Well,
this
he
guy.
did Cannon Busters too.
Cannon Busters wasn't made in Japan.
Yeah,
It's
this-
on Mal.
Yasuke,
know, but-
Yasuke was made in Japan. Cannon Busters was made in Los Angeles.
It was promoted as I remember this. It was promoted as like the first one made in Japan by an African American or someone of black black descent, whatever you want to say.
There you go. You
Because
got
I
there.
don't know if he's American, so saying African American
is.
doesn't apply. He is. Okay, there you go. All right. Either way, sorry I tried to cover all my bases and be PC. My bad.
PC
all right,
principal would be happy.
I know he would. Miles, what's your nomination? I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, since your show got nominated this week, what have you got?
Well, I did the math right before this, and so I haven't thought about it very hard.
I
I
could
guess
go.
I'll.
I could go.
I
Yeah,
want to
Pete,
put Oz
go.
on. All right, fine. Okay, let's put Pete on the spot
Okay.
instead. What have you got?
I thought this would be super interesting for Watch Club. I just started watching a Chinese anime called Heaven's Official Blessing, and I thought it'd be really cool to watch a Chinese anime. So I picked the #1 rated Chinese anime on Mal. It's called Link Click. It's on Funimation. I double checked.
Oh, it's called Link Click.
Link Click or Shai Guang Dai Li Ren.
Ooh, okay. This
Honey,
is
how was that
Can
enunciation?
you pronounce that again?
Shi Guang Dai Li Ren. I took 4 years of Mandarin. I hope that's right.
That's
I still
4 more
have-
years of Mandarin
I
that I
still
took.
have no idea what he said, but I'll take his word for
It has an
Oh,
eight, has
wait, we could just okay. Wait, I'm gonna put like the Romanji in this, Johnny, and you can tell me how this is
it
pronounced.
has an
Let's say if only it was a
8.88 on Mal. It looks cool. It looks like Spider-Man, except that he doesn't fight crime. He just takes pictures.
Okay, I'm
Range
gonna just
number
be,
21.
I'm gonna just be honest. I haven't taken Chinese since I was 6, so I'm still struggling. But I'll get back to you.
All right, sounds good. So yeah, Link
I thought
Click
you
is my
spoke it.
nomination.
What?
Superpower drama fantasy.
Okay. Kat, what about you? What have you got?
So I'm gonna re-up 91 Days. I just really hope that we actually watch it because I don't want to keep on re-upping something that I haven't seen.
Fair enough. All right. 91 days. Johnny, what about you?
I'm just probably gonna re-up 86. I'm surprised it didn't even make the top 3. Honestly,
I voted for it.
I'm
But
glad
you
it
and
didn't.
Pete.
I can't wait to vote for it
Fuck
again.
that show.
You literally told me you wanted people to talk about the show, so I nominated so we could talk about the
Yeah,
show.
but still, fuck that show. Like,
Oh my god. Okay, whatever. I'm still
In
nominated.
Pete's eyes, at least, I am excited. I want to see that show. Because it'll help me knock out some of my backlog from last season as well. Miles, do you have your nomination?
I have my nomination right after your nomination.
Gotcha. All right,
Nice.
perfect. High Rise Invasion did a lot better than I thought it would, honestly, and I'm happy that it did. I'm gonna switch it up and go back to Elfen Lied because I really want to watch Elfen Lied. I think take it back, a blast to the past, and Elfen Lied sounds pretty cool. Child murder, everything. What more could you want in a show?
Child murder. Don't say that too loud, or if you say that 3 times, Has will appear in the mirror.
Yeah.
Someone drink house down here right now.
Yeah, there we go. Miles, what is your show for Third Time's a Charm, probably, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do Death Parade again.
Death Parade. Okay. Well, there we go. I think that wraps up Watch Club. We've done our nominations, done everything else. So, Pete, why don't you close us out?
Ooh, I get to close out time. Awesome. If you've made it this far into the episode, thank you very much. If you want to support the podcast, the best way to do that is like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you are listening or watching us on. If you're listening to us on an audio platform, we do have visual content in the link tree in the description. There is links to all of our social media, all of our Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, all that stuff. So check us out there. If you're interested in discussing anime with us, links to our Discord as well. We talk anime, manga, sports, air fryers. We talked a lot about air fryers today. So if you're interested in air fryers, join our Discord. We're now an air fryer podcast. This is our last anime episode. Next Monday, we will have an episode on something. I haven't decided yet, but something will happen on Monday. Where I will discuss something. I think maybe Miles will be there too. Who knows? It should be fun. Check us out. Otherwise, in 2 weeks, we will be watching. I already forgot the show that we're watching in 2 weeks.
Afro Samurai.
Afro Samurai. In 2 weeks for Watch Club, we'll be watching Afro Samurai. So, thank you once again, and we will see you next time.
Goodbye from the